Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Ellen Barrett. We have a great show for you today. We are starting with a topic that couldn't be more relevant right now with the political presidential season, happening right now as we speak. Today I have Phil Anderson for U.S. Senate with us today. Thanks for joining us, Phil.
Thanks for having me, Ellen.
And today we're going to be talking about politics and role models. So, like I had said, a really interesting subject. I want to get your take on the presidential debate that took place last Sunday.
Well, I watched the whole thing. I didn't watch the first debate, but I watched this one, and in my opinion, it was just absolutely brutal. I mean, it was full of insults, full of low comments, full of interruptions, mostly Donald Trump, but Hillary Clinton as well. It just didn't really raise the level of discourse, and it really didn't even address a lot of issues that Americans are concerned about. They spent very little time on foreign policy, the economy, terrorism, social policy, and spent a lot of time just attacking and accusing each other. And it was sad. It was really disturbing, actually.
Do you think it's fair for citizens, to expect politicians to be moral?
Well, I think there's two answers to that.
Sure.
I don't think we should be that concerned about politicians' personal lives. I think we tend to put them on a pedestal. And much like athletes, they tend to be in the public view quite a bit, and so naturally we kind of observe what they're doing and how they're behaving. That's sort of unfortunate because that doesn't necessarily equate to how they're doing their job. But in terms of candidates telling the truth, and how they relate to each other and to their party and to the country, insofar as they're lying and doing deceitful things, and that's obviously very relevant, and we should be very critical of them when they fall short on those things.
Now, how have your opponents reacted to the debate and really the controversy surrounding all this?
It's been pretty predictable, to be honest with you. The parties are set up so that they all support each other. The party comes before principle. The party comes before morality. The party comes before everything. So Ron Johnson is still saying that he backs Trump, that he's still going to endorse him, that he's still going to vote for him, despite all of the nastiness that's happened that we don't need to go over again.
Right.
But he's still behind him 100%, he says. And of course, Russ Feingold has supported Hillary Clinton all along, despite the fact that we know that she lied in front of Congress and to the FBI and et cetera, and all the other things that she's been guilty of. They don't depart from the party in order to actually be morally or politically critical. To me, it's a lack of courage, and I'm disappointed as their constituent, and hope to point that out over the course of the next few weeks, that this is what you're getting when you vote for Democrats and Republicans. You get blind, or maybe not so blind, party loyalty, because that's what it's all about.
Now, how would you do things differently in the U.S. Senate?
Well, I'm going to tell the truth, and I don't have a party structure that really dictates that sort of blind loyalty, that obedience that Russ Feingold and Ron Johnson have. We obviously have a party structure. Thankfully, we've got a presidential candidate who doesn't have those sort of skeletons and issues that are so disgusting with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. But for me, I'm going to stand out and say, if somebody does something wrong, I'm going to tell it like it is, because I don't have campaign contributions coming in from organizations or from big interests that are going to say, we want you to say this or we don't want you to say that, like my opponents do. So I'm free to be independent and courageous, and that's what I plan on doing.
Now, what do you think kind of role model should politicians be?
Well, we should be people who are relied on to tell the truth, not only just as a moral thing, but because that's what we're elected to do. We represent people. When I go to the United States Senate, I'm representing the people of Wisconsin. And so it's imperative that I represent their interests truthfully, and that I tell them the truth about what's going on, and I'm willing to stand up and point out corruption or whatever's going on in government on their behalf. That's what representative government is and should be. Unfortunately, big party politics has gotten away from that, where they're more loyal to raising money for their party or representing their party in those special interests.
Now, what are your plans for the last 4 weeks until Election Day?
We are super busy. This week we're going to be. I'm going to be in Manawa. Do you know where Manawa is?
I don't. That's a new one.
It's up in the northeastern part of the state. We've got a school forum up there on Thursday, and then another one in the evening. We're going to be here in Madison on Friday because Adam Kokesh is going to be in town. He's a libertarian activist and presidential candidate for 2020. We're going to be in Neenah, Oshkosh, Appleton, and Green Bay this weekend. The following weekend we're going to be in Milwaukee, as well as all the other places that we are, and social media and media appearances and radio shows and yard signs and all the things that go along with running a campaign. It's going to be very busy, but we're very hopeful that we're making a difference and offering a choice so that people don't have to hold their nose and vote Democrat or Republican in the presidential race and in the U.S. Senate race in Wisconsin. You've got a choice.
Phil Anderson for U.S. Senate, thank you so much for being with us today and answering these questions.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks, Ellen.
We appreciate it, and we'll be back with more Talk of the Town here on Wisconsin's 57 right after this.